So, hello, vinyl community. Bill here again, and we're going to continue this journey or playlist of Rock's 7-year itch. And this time I'm covering the years 63 to 69, but I'm going to do it in two videos. The first will title, our part A will be The British Invasion, and part B will be America Holds Its Own. So before I do that, I just wanted to redress an omission I made in the 56 to 62 episode, and that was, how did I forget Ray Charles? So Ray Charles was, well, he had a really long career, but yeah, we've got Hallelujah, I Love Her So, Lonely Avenue, What Did I Say, which became a rock and roll standard. And yeah, this compilation has got some great tunes on it. This Little Girl of Mine, I Got a Woman, Unchain My Heart, Hit the Road Jack. So Ray Charles is a big star of the era 56 to 62 and beyond. In these videos, I start off by showing a few compilations and then go on to cover essential artists and essential albums of that era. So you'll find in the supermarkets and online and anywhere you can buy cheap CDs, you'll find lots of, the best 60s album in the world ever. There's a really good compilation called Magic Bus. I bought that for my brother because Magic Bus by The Who was one of his favorite tracks of all time. But yeah, there's a whole raft of them. Usually you find that they don't include the Beatles or the Stones. But the first one I want to show is Highlight on the 60s. And yeah, this has got some great tracks on it. Bobby V's The Night Has a Thousand Eyes, The Trogs with A Girl Like You, The Kingsmen, Louie Louie, which is one of the foundations of 60s rock music. Jan and Dean, Surf City, so covering the surf movement. And then we've got the Box Tops, Cry Like a Baby, Sam and Dave, Soul Man, and the Tremolos, Here Comes My Baby. Yeah, one of the great producers of the 1960s, and Phil Spector and his Wall of Sound. So we've got River Deep, Mountain High, Proud Mary. We have Do Ron Ron, You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers, Unchained Melody. I can't remember which one sings Unchained Melody. And the second in the duo of the Righteous Brothers was just told to hum along and count the money in his bank balance because it is one of the iconic tracks from the 60s. And this is one that I keep coming back to. I love this album. 44 original hits, Ronco. And yeah, the tracks on this are just amazing. So we've got, I'll just list 3 or 4 from each side, but we've got Up on the Roof by the Drifters, She's Not There by the Zombies, I Get Around by the Beach Boys, and You've Got Your Troubles by the Fortunes. On side 2, we've got Dancing in the Street, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. We've got What Becomes of the Broken-Hearted, Jimmy Ruffin. We've got Monday, Monday, Mamas and the Papas, and The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals. And then side 3, we've got one of the most perfect list of 60s songs ever, and my introduction to Jimi Hendrix. So I'm just going to list the whole side. So you start with Carrie Ann by the Hollies, Whiter Shade of Pale, Procol Harum, My Generation, The Who, I Got to Get a Message to You by the Bee Gees, pre-disco, You've Lost That Loving Feeling, the Righteous Brothers, Eve of Destruction. That's just a great feel to it, that song, Barry Maguire. And I think there's somebody sings on this that you're not expecting, but I can't remember the details of that. Then White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix, Layla by Derek and the Dominos. That's into 1970, but we'll leave that as an aside. And then With a Little Help from My Friends, the Lennon and McCartney song done by the great Joe Cocker. And another essential compilation from the 60s, Nuggets, original artifacts from the first psychedelic era, 1965 to 68. Nice sort of gatefold there with write-ups about all the songs on this album. But here, you might also call this the sort of garage band era and the first punk era. So these are guys that haven't really mastered their instruments quite yet, but just want to join the fun and make some records. So we've got Pushing Too Hard by the Seeds. You've got You're Gonna Miss Me by the 13th Floor Elevators. You've got Tobacco Road by the Blue Magoos, Sugar and Spice by the Crying Shames, and Let's Talk About Girls, the Chocolate Watch Band. And I think the Undertones did a cover of that. And yeah, you've got the Magic Mushrooms and Nas and the Premiers, the Standells, Dirty Water. Really good album, this Nuggets. But as I explained in the introduction to this video, I'm going to call it the British Invasion. And really, we go on a journey across these 7 years from Liverpool, and we end up at Woodstock. So, yeah, British Invasion, key personnel in this invasion force, of course, the Beatles and John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And this is a great compilation, the Red Album, although my spine has gone a bit orange there. But yeah, the Beatles at the EMI building, and yeah, gatefold here. So you really, if you're covering the 63 to 69, yeah, the Beatles are the foundation stone. And you really have to start with, you know, the singles that conquered the world. Love Me Do, Please Please Me, From Me to You, She Loves You, and Can't Buy Me Love. But then you move through the, you know, all the early albums that have covers of rock and roll songs. So when I say rock and roll 7-year itch, we don't have a throughout everything that's gone before and something new. There's always that sort of handing over the baton to a certain extent to the new guys, and the new guys coming along with something completely different to what's gone before. The Beatles, of course, did rock and roll music. They covered Buddy Holly. They did Twist and Shout, etc. But then this collection, 62 to 66, really covers Lennon and McCartney compositions. So we then get, Hard Day's Night, Yesterday, Help, Day Tripper, Norwegian Wood, and then we finish off with Nowhere Man, Paperback Writer, Eleanor Rigby, and The Yellow Submarine. We all live in a house in Aberdeen. So, yeah, the Beatles crossed the pond, became overnight sensations, created Beatlemania, and changed the world. Then they couldn't hear themselves think when they were performing, so they stopped performing and moved to the studio and produced some of the seminal works of the 1960 period, 63 to 69. And yeah, the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I think the first album to have all the lyrics on the back, really simple gatefold with a Fab Four in their military style uniforms, very psychedelic colors there. Green and red should never be seen, etc. So yeah, love this. But yeah, the whole album is groundbreaking and sets the standard for the rest of the 60s. How do we surpass Lennon and McCartney and also George Harrison as well? But yeah, fixing a hole, being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. When I'm 64, that's the age I am now. I actually missed the Beatles growing up, really. Remember someone speaking to a teenage girl in the co-op saying, "What do you think of the Beatles?" But yeah, my introduction to record collecting and really enjoying music was 1970 with Deep Purple's Fireball. So I then had to research back in time to all these great rock and rollers, all the great bands of the 60s. So yeah, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band reprise, and then the symphonic A Day in the Life. And John Lennon makes up a song based on newspaper articles that he's read the previous day. Yeah, now we know how many holes it takes to fill up the Albert Hall. So that's Sgt. Pepper's. I could wax lyrical about all the Beatles albums. Yeah, Mazzy would certainly go for that. But we're trying to just get a flavor of the era. So if you're restricted to the number of Beatles albums you can show, then I'm going for 3 and another iconic sleeve. And this time it's Abbey Road, which I think was at one point going to be called Everest. And then they reckoned to get a good album sleeve, they would have to fly to Nepal, all sorts of travel logistics involved in that. And I'm not sure if I think it was Ringo said, why don't we just take the album cover photo out in the street? And it became Abbey Road. So again, this one has got 2 of the great contributions from George, Here Comes the Sun, and Something, which Frank Sinatra wrongly attributed to Lennon and McCartney. He called Something the best Lennon and McCartney song. Poor George, he must have felt shocked at that, his wonderful composition, great lyrics, and John and Paul get the credit from Frank Sinatra. But yeah, this has got iconic opening track of Come Together, and we've got, you know, side two, these sort of segueing of various snippets of songs that didn't quite make it into full-blown songs, but gave a suite of just great lyrics. She came in through the bathroom window, and it ends with the end, and then there's something about the Queen, I think. So, yeah. The Beatles, Abbey Road. And of course, we can't speak about the British invasion without speaking about the Rolling Stones. And if you want to cover their 60s period, we have to go for Rolled Gold. And we've got Come On from June 63 through to Gimme Shelter in December 69. And you've got all the great singles on here. You've got Carol, you've got The Last Time, Satisfaction, 19th Nervous Breakdown. You've got Let's Spend the Night Together, She's a Rainbow, Jumping Jack Flash. There's a Gas, 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 as well as Sympathy for the Devil, Street Fighting Man, and Midnight Rambler. And again, really nice gatefold with lots of interesting notes and photographs and memorabilia that I suspect comes from Bill Wyman's extensive collection. If you ever get to see post-pandemic the exhibition or exhibitionism by the Rolling Stones, and they recreate is it the Ladgrove Road flat? Need to check that up, but yeah. And you see all the dirty dishes in the sink, and some of the LPs, some of the blues records sitting around on the ash-covered coffee tables, etc. Check that out, and you get a chance to mix some of their albums as well as pretend that you're on stage with the Rolling Stones. A really great experience. So that's the Rolling Stones and Rolled Gold covering the classic singles. I have to thank a good friend of mine, Derek, for gifting me original mono pressing of Beggar's Banquet. And yeah, we've mentioned Sympathy for the Devil. There's No Expectations on this album, which has got a great guitar track by Brian Jones. Jigsaw Puzzle, great track. Stray Cat Blues and Salt of the Earth, and Prodigal Son, which if you watch my introduction to or building a blues, starting a blues collection, I mentioned Prodigal Son because it's covered on a great blues compilation. So this is 1968. And then in 1969, we have got Let It Bleed, which has got Love in Vain, the Robert Johnson track. And you've got the silver, You Can't Always Get What You Want with the wonderful sort of Bach choir, and Country Honk, which is a country version of Honky Tonk Woman. And the cake, of course, is by a cookery expert, sold a lot of cookbooks. Delia Smith actually baked the cake for the cover of Let It Bleed. Right, I'm now going to show some bands that have something in common. The Animals, the Yardbirds, Them, and Manfred Mann. So what do these guys have in common? It was they have it in common with the Stones, actually. It was the discovery of the blues from America. And yeah, I like to think at roughly the same time in Newcastle, Belfast, London, and elsewhere in the UK. I think there must have been a lot of imported records, and these guys, different corners of England and Northern Ireland. So I've got a collection of sort of best ofs. So the first one is the best of the Animals. So we've got things like The House of the Rising Sun, huge hit both sides of the Atlantic. And the singing on it is Eric Burdon's vocals are just sublime. And, the song builds and builds, and it's just, yeah, fantastic. There's Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, We Got to Get Out of This Place, and Club A Go-Go, Boom Boom, John Lee Hooker track, and Bright Lights, Big City, another blues standard. So, and I'm Mad Again. So, great collection, the best of the Animals. Then across in Northern Ireland and Belfast, we have Van the Man and his band Them. So quite interestingly, side one of this has got Baby Please Don't Go and Bright Lights, Big City, which were both done by the Animals, I'm sure. We've got I Put a Spell on You, and then, yeah, Gloria is a great Van Morrison composition, and yeah, really good track actually called The Story of Them. Really like that one. And then Stormy Monday, a T-Bone Walker classic track, and then Route 66. And then in the south of England, we have Manfred Mann teaming up with Paul Jones and Tom McGuinness and Mike Hugg, Mike Vickers, and they come up with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Manfred Mann, and songs like Do Wah Diddy Diddy. And Manfred Mann did a few covers of Bob Dylan songs, so The Mighty Quinn and Just Like a Woman. But we've also got Pretty Flamingo on here. And then also based in the London area, and a great blues rock band. And we have, remember, the Yardbirds. So Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Jim McCarthy, Chris Dreja, Keith Relf, and Paul Samuel Smith. And Heart Full of Soul, which was an early composition of Graham Gouldman, who went on to be one of the guys with 10cc. He also wrote For Your Love and Evil Hearted You. And then we've got I Wish You Would, Billy Boy A. Arnold, and composition, and Smokestack Lightning by Chester Burnett aka Howlin' Wolf. So really good introduction to blues rock. And yeah, roughly around the same time, we have also got a fantastic band called The Small Faces. And yeah, this is, I think, the debut album on Decca. And it's got Shake, Sam Cooke number. We've got What You Going to Do About It, and You Need Loving, which is a Steve Marriott, Ronnie Lane composition. And you've also got Sha-La-La-La-Lee. So yeah, really great album of 60s music. And I think, it may seem strange to say this, but I think the Small Faces had a great influence on Led Zeppelin. There's some great sort of blues derived songs from the Small Faces, which I think inspired Led Zeppelin, and maybe, you know, a couple of years before Led Zeppelin. And yeah, I can't mention the 60s and the Small Faces without this one, Ogden's Not Gone Flake, and the stories of Happiness Stan, and yeah, Lazy Sunday Afternoon. Great album in the circular cover here. And yeah, I should have covered this one in the compilations at the start, but black music in the 60s was always very strong. So we've got, you know, the Bar-Kays with Soulfinger. We've got Sam Cooke. We've got James Brown, Please, Please, Please. The Isley Brothers Shout, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, as well as the Impressions, People Get Ready. And then on the second CD, we've got the Four Tops, Reach Out, I'll Be There, James Carr's Dark End of the Street, which I think Graham Parsons and the Flying Burrito Brothers covered on one of their albums. And yeah, Temptations, Cloud Nine, Psychedelic Soul, as well as Ball of Confusion isn't on here, but that's a great Temptations Psychedelic Soul number that you should check out. And then sticking around the sort of black music side, multiracial band here. We've got Gino Washington and the Ram Jam Band. It's a great album. Love this one. This is sort of the mod era and one of their heroes. But this is actually a recording of a concert in 1967. And it's got Day Tripper on it. It's got In the Midnight Hour, I'm a Road Runner, and Que Sera Sera, which has got quite an interesting aside to it as well, and Ride Your Pony. So great album, this on the Golden Hour record label. So how could I? I almost forgot to show the Kinks. It's a great compilation. I think it was issued in around 1970, 71, but this is the definitive, in my opinion, Kinks compilation. So Golden Hour of the Kinks, and I think Golden Hour is part of the Pie record label. But we have here Ray Davies songwriting at its best. So we've got Days, we've got Autumn Almanac, Waterloo Sunset. What a sublime recording that is. The sort of jokey dedicator follower of fashion, not one of my favorites, but it's on this album. We've got till the end of the day, sunny afternoon. And yeah, side 2, we've got You Really Got Me, which is the DNA of heavy metal, hard rock. It's just, you know, these power chords are just amazing. And You Really Got Me is one of my favorite tracks of the of popular music. And Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Really nice sort of psychedelia cover, even though the Kinks, to my mind, are just the quintessential English band. Unfortunately, they didn't really make it in the States. I think there's a lot of Kinks, sort of large Kinks appreciation society in the States, but the Kinks really didn't make it as big as they should have done. I think there were some drugs-related issues and difficulty maybe getting visas or entry into the States. So the Kinks kind of missed out on the British invasion. So essential album. And then, yeah, one of my all-time favorite bands. You can't speak about the 60s without the Who's Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy. Great covers, front and rear, and inside you've got the Railway Hotel and Lounge, Harrow, Wealdstone. So the Who, you could go and see the Who for 4 shillings. So on here you've got, yeah, all the great 3-minute perfect singles. You've got I Can't Explain, The Kids Are All Right, Happy Jack, I Can See for Miles, Pictures of Lily, My Generation, The Seeker. And then on side 2, more 5-star Magic, Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere, Pinball Wizard, we'll come on to that in a second, Legal Matter, Boris the Spider, Magic Bus, Substitute, and I'm a Boy. Track records, and yeah, Kit Lambert and Shel Talmy doing the production. Yeah, fantastic compilation. But if you're looking at the period 63 to 69, this sums it up in the perfect package. 69 and the Who, yeah, Britain's gone from washboards and the Quarrymen to world-beating rock opera. Of course, there's the claim that the Pretty Things and SF Sorrow, Pip, the Who and Tommy to the post of the first rock opera. They did have a mini opera on a quick one while he's away, and which is not my favorite Who string of songs, but yeah, it let Townsend cut his teeth on the genre, if that's the right way of, or the art form of the rock opera. So a mini rock opera. And then we had the concept album Who Sell Out, which is one of the 60s LPs to get. I haven't shown that because I wanted to show Tommy instead. And yeah, great. A fold out 3. And the sort of very interesting 3D cover as well. But yeah, the story of Tommy and the deaf, dumb and blind kid who sure plays a mean pinball, and the way that Townsend takes, you know, the sort of overture and the storytelling of an opera. This has this in bucket loads. So yeah, So the story of Tommy, his encounters with the Acid Queen, and cousin Kevin, his blossoming into a superstar with his own holiday camps, etc., and then the crowd turning on him. So there is compositions by Sonny Boy Williamson, which is the hawker, and then John Entwistle contributes a couple of tracks as well. And Keith Moon also gets a composition credit for Tommy's Holiday Camp. Camp with the difference, never mind the weather. When you come to Tommy's, the holidays forever. Yeah, I must stop trying to sing these things, but there we go. And yeah, we're also speaking about Psychedelia. Don't have this on vinyl, but Disraeli Gears, The Cream at Their Peak, Strange Brew, and Sunshine of Your Love. Yeah, really great album this, and the cover artwork is fantastic. And speaking about cover artwork, we've got King Crimson and the Court of the Crimson King, and yeah, fantastic face. And a good gatefold record as well. And this has got 21st Century Schizoid Man and the Court of the Crimson King. Really good sort of psychedelic rock. Not sure if it's quite progressive rock or when progressive rock ushers in a new genre. I said that this era 63 to 69, I'd do it in two videos, part A and part B, but I said it started this era in Liverpool and ended in Woodstock. So we'll speak more about Woodstock in the next video. So take care, hope you've enjoyed this one, and we'll move on to part B. America holds its own. You can maybe guess some of the artists that will feature in that video. And then we'll move on to classic rock, glam rock, and more progressive rock singer-songwriters for the next 7-year-ish period, which is 70 to 76. Bye just now. Take care.